Long time ago, in a very dark era, when slave trade and slavery was a common thing and maids are the measurement to determine wealthy people in the society. These slaves are usually used to work on farmlands and business of families. There was a wealthy hunter named Ajani and his beautiful wife Aduni. They had been married for the past 10 years but had no children. Aduni is a very wealthy businesswoman who does not depend on her husband's wealth. Rather, she faces her business squarely. Aduni deals with assorted local fabrics, the likes of ashoke, adire, and many more. She supplies kings, chiefs, and other dignitaries in her village and nearby villages. As a result of this, she had many mates helping in running her business. Ajani on his own, being a famous hunter and president of the Hunters Association in his village, had many cousins and nephew who helped with his hunting job and the sales of the meat caught in the forests. Despite Ajani was flourishing in his endeavors, he was such a sad man because he had no son of his own. Occasionally, he would brood over his situation, imagining how his family would be after his death. One day, Ajani decided to visit a diviner, seeking help on how to have his own children. After much divination, Ajani was told to marry another wife, that after she gives birth, Aduni will conceive and start giving birth as many as they want. On getting home, Ajani called his loving wife and explained everything the diviner told him. Aduni thought for a while and told her husband to allow her give it a deep thought for a few days. 1 week after, Aduni called her husband and explained to him, saying, Ajani, my lovely husband, I have thought over our last discussion very well, and my conclusion is, as far as it is for our good, you can go on. But rather than bringing a stranger to our home, why not take one of my slaves, dress her up, and she becomes your newest wife? I have looked through among them, and I will suggest Ajike. The husband admitted and thanked her for her goodwill. Soon after, Ajike became the newest wife and she got pregnant. Aduni was happy that the divination was coming to pass. She would sit back and imagine how she would be when she is pregnant. Sometimes rubs her tummy and walks like she's carrying a very mature pregnancy, teasing herself of the joy to become a mother soon. But deep in her heart, she was filled with anger and hatred for Ajike. She couldn't possibly wait to let her have a child, then chase her out of the house. So she resolved to maltreating her. She would ask her to carry heavy loads and do difficult tasks in the house at every opportunity. She would shout at her, hit her, and remind her of a slave she was. She often called her husband snatcher and a joy killer. After a few months, Ajike gave birth to a bouncing baby boy, and Ajani became the happiest man in the village. He threw a big party on the occasion of the arrival of the baby and promised the whole village for a bigger party on the naming ceremony day. This got Aduni angrier imagining how the party would have been if she was the baby's mother. She decided to intensify her wicked act towards Ajike. Ajani, on the other hand, decided to give Ajike a very special treat during the time that she just gave birth, so he would kill different animals on different days and take it home. He would order other slaves to prepare special delicacies for the new mother. But whenever the food is ready, Aduni will order Ajike to carry out a very tedious work and later serve her a small portion of the food. And Ajike won't be able to eat well due to tiredness and loss of appetite. Ajike fell ill as a result of the maltreatment she gets every time, and she occasionally asked her co-wife to let the other slaves prepare her fish pepper soup to aid her appetite. But Aduni will snap at her, saying, "You dirty slave that is being treated like a queen, you have the guts to ask for a different meal. You will not taste fish in this house until I am done with you." Ajike fell really ill and lost her strength to take care of her baby, and Aduni will not take care of the baby either. On the 5th day, the baby died as a result of lack of care, and Ajike grieved so bitterly for the death of a child. So did Ajani. On the supposed naming day, Ajike's illness has grown worse and she was dying. Ajani could not throw a party because the baby is gone and Ajike is very ill. And Ajani noticed that Ajike's illness has gone beyond what they could take care of under their roof. So he rushed her to the diviner's place. But it was too late for Ajani because Ajike was at the verge of death. Few hours later, when Ajike was to take her last breath, she thought about how Aduni had cut her life short and decided to curse the family. In her grief and the last breath she had left, she said, "No wife in this lineage will ever eat fish until after their naming ceremony, and if they do, their child will die." And she gave up the ghost. After the death of Ajike, Aduni conceived as foretold, and she gave birth to a son. She became the happiest woman in the village, and not long after she conceived and gave birth to 3 more boys consecutively. Ajani children were such handsome, well-mannered, hard-working and dedicated boys, and every man of high caliber covets them for their female children. They would often invite them for weekend-friendly feasts at their homes so they could get familiar with their daughters. Soon after, Adoni's 4 boys grew to marriageable ages and got married to daughters of wealthy men in and around the villages. Several years passed and Ajani was getting so old and close to death. He called his 4 children and said, "Why have you refused to let me see my grandchildren before I pass on to the world beyond? Did I offend you?" "No, Baba," they echoed. "Then tell me why none of you has given me a grandson. Your wives keep losing their sons after birth, or is there a problem somewhere?" After much deliberation, it was discovered that each of those women will always feel the urge to eat fish pepper soup after delivery, and when they breastfeed their babies afterwards, the babies died. Ajani let out a loud cry. Ah! Is this a new trend of disease or something? Afterwards, Ajani took his children to Baba Awojide the diviner to relay the story and consult for them. There and then, it was discovered that Ajike placed a curse on the family lineage in agony and while she was dying. The only way out is to avoid eating fish until after the naming ceremony is done. Aduni was confronted by his 4 children. They told to her face that she was wicked and inhuman for her to have treated her co-wife in such a bad manner. Aduni lived with this regret as her sons confronted her, and she really cried and begged for their forgiveness, which they denied. A year later, the 4 wives were delivered of their sons, and Aduni begged for their forgiveness so much and for causing them so much grief in the years past. Aduni was forgiven, and since they had known the cause of the death, and they have decided to let the ill acts and the bad thoughts to stay behind them. This story had taught us to always be nice to anyone around us, be it male, female, maid, or our co-wives. And it taught the power of forgiveness as the children later forgive their mother. This also teaches that when you decide to act back on evil acts that someone has done to you, you might become another evildoer in the society. And so Ajani's 4 sons lived in harmony with their wives and with the joy of new babies echoing in the 4 homes. They decided to pass on this curse, to make this curse known to their children, so no one will ever face the curse of fish. Thank you for listening to today's story. I really hope you have learned. Kindly drop your comments, like this video, and subscribe to my channel so you will hear more of amazing stories from here. Till I come your way next time, bye.